Hello students, welcome to CrackGradeB online learning platform. Today we have special guest with us, Mr. Shobhit Agarwal. He has cracked RBI Grade B 2022 in 5th attempt.
Yeah.
Yes, he is a working aspirant. So today we will know his journey, how he has managed, means how much hard work he devoted to crack this exam. So first of all, many congratulations to you, Mr. Shobhit. So students want to know your journey, and he will introduce himself and share his journey.
Yes. So basically, I graduated from NIT Bhopal in 2015. Post that, I worked with GS Associates, which is an analytics firm, for around 9 months. Post that, I left for preparation of civil services. Also, I have given RBI Grade B side by side from 2016 itself, but my first serious attempt for RBI was in 2019. In the mid, I have also worked with Central Excise Department as a GST inspector. In 2019 was my first serious attempt. Post that, in 2021 I gave the next attempt, in which I reached till interview round. Eventually this is my 5th attempt, in which I have cracked RBI Grade B with a rank of 56.
So first of all, before starting, how did you prepare that? This was 5th attempt. So how did you keep motivating yourself?
So motivation, obviously, I was very clear with my goal as to what I want. It was always to be a class 1 officer, so either it was UPSC or the second best thing that could happen in my life was obviously RBI. When I felt that UPSC might be a far-fetched dream, because I have given 3 attempts at UPSC and wrote mains thrice, but still couldn't reach to the interview round, I felt that it's more realistic to just target RBI, being a comparatively lower hanging fruit. So that was when in 2019 I got my senses to actually prepare solely for RBI. So in 2019 I started seriously for RBI. The sole motivation for me was like RBI, out of all the jobs that we have, it's more of a career. If we have something called a job and we have a career service, I would call RBI to be a full-fledged career where it's quite balanced, both in terms of financial aspects as well as in terms of work-life balance, promotions, responsibilities, the sort of work we have, and the respect in society. So it's an all-round job that any individual can dream of.
Actually, as a student, if I think any student will put himself in the situation you have gone through.
Yeah.
That first time you were not able to crack this exam. Then again, every year, means 2, 3, 4 times you failed to crack this exam. So every year you will be having mind while preparing that what will happen this time, how I will be able to crack this exam or not, I will be able to clear the cutoff or not. So how did you manage that pressure, that stress in the mind? Actually, many of the aspirants are facing this. They are getting failed multiple times. So there are many students who face this situation. So how did you manage that one, and finally crack the exam?
So I can understand that this is a particular situation that I have also gone through. But one thing I've kept in mind, obviously after results, it happens that we get depressed or something like that. Even that happened with me as well. For a month or so, I was just not able to actually resume my studies and everything. But eventually we need to keep in mind that what we aim for eventually in life. Is this thing does this our goal is something, it's just a dream, or it's really our goal? If it's really a goal, we will strive for it no matter what. So I used to see some of the YouTube videos, some motivational videos. Apart from that, also take a time off from studies, maybe go somewhere, travel with friends or something like that. Got my mind relaxed, and thereafter resume my studies. I also saw some of the strategies available on YouTube and elsewhere as to what I was doing wrong. Also, I used to self-introspect. Obviously, I had some score. Let's say in mains, maybe last year I had a score, or in 2019 I had a score. So it's not something like 0 or maybe 150 or something like that. It's something pretty decent, and it can be improved. So I need to just understand where does the scope of improvisation lies, and that's something that emerges out of self introspection. And confidence is something and that needs to be catered to, and persistence is obviously the key. It's not like with first attempt or second attempt people can clear. People do clear, but yeah, if you're not able to clear, don't question your capabilities. Rather take it as a sort of learning and rise again,
yes,
like a phoenix, I think.
Yeah, that's nice. Now come to the preparation part. How did you prepare for the phase 1 and what were the sources and how did you manage your time while you are working, your full-time working aspirant? So,
Yes, sir. So, phase 1 basically consists of English, reasoning, quants and GK. Going by the last 2 years pattern, what I have found is the cutoff is somewhere on the lower side, maybe 60s or 70s, maybe 80s. So what my strategy was to maximize the score on the GK section, because that's of 80 marks and the most scoring one. So all other sections what I used to do was, the English was my strong part. However, for the people who are weak in English, I recommend them to have to go through the grammar of S-Chan publication. Also practice a lot of mocks and RCs. That is something that can increase the skills, and having a 20 plus score is pretty decent or okay in English. For reasoning, what I did was that there are some key areas, some thematic topics like syllogism, reverse syllogism, machine input output, blood relations, direction sense test, etc., which are very scoring, even the verbal reasoning. So what I used to do, that I used to visit the YouTube and just find the ways to solve such type of problems and used to attempt that. So I increased my ability to actually solve these discrete type of topics, and I kept puzzles for the end. So even while in the exam, I used to just do the next and solve all these topics in which I was strong at. And post that, when the time was left, I attempted the puzzles. So that way I was able to clear the cutoff for the reasoning section as well. And in fact, I scored 20 or something. So that was a decent one. For cons, since I am a SSC student, obviously, so cons was a bit of a strong portion for me. But yeah, what I did was that the things that we are strong at, let's say I was strong at arithmetic, I used to ensure that all the questions I could attempt with 100% accuracy. The things that I was very bad at, let's say PNC or probability, I didn't touch them because I had a paucity of time given the sort of job that I had. So for the cons, I did visit some platforms so as to improve the concepts, the formulas or the short tricks. Also some chapters can be solved from the Arun Sharma book or some elsewhere, YouTube as well. So that way I improved my quant. And for all these three topics, I would recommend that Practice Mock is a very good platform. Apart from that, I also attempted Olive Board. Through this, I honed my skills for all these three sections. GK is the very crucial section. What I believe that there are a number of sources in market right now available. So it's pretty common for any individual to actually get trapped and not exit that particular maze. I have experienced that in first 3 attempts. I used to compile a lot of PDFs, even prepare notes from newspapers and everything, but that was not very fruitful. This year and even the last year, what I did was that I just had one mantra, utna hi khao jitna hazam kar pao. So that was something I just followed one single source, that was Affairs Cloud. Read it for past 6 or 7 months. From October onwards, I followed it, and I think that has helped me do well in prelims.
Okay. So now comes to the phase 2 part. Also, you have given 4 attempts before this. And what was the major resources you followed for this preparation, as number of platforms are there? So how did you filter out that I should go with this platform, and what was your strategy, that mistake you have made in earlier exams, earlier years, so you did not make this time? How did you improve yourself?
So for earlier attempts, let's say from 2019 going backwards, we had an objective type paper, whereas from 2021 onwards, we had a semi-objective and semi-descriptive paper. So strategy for both these particular phase, 2019 backwards and right now, would be different. For right now, what I did was, like from 2021, we have the descriptive part. So what I believe that one should be very strong at descriptive first of all. And descriptive is not something that we can just have gain mastery at just by typing and just by practicing. What normally aspirants do is they just have a question and they jump onto it. Let's type. For descriptive, what we need is first of all typing speed. But apart from that, we need the thought process speed as well. That you should be able to think of a number of points, let's say 7-8 points in a row within the time you are typing. So for that you need to be a very avid reader. So I used to read a number of editorials from different financial dailies. Let's say I used to refer Financial Express, also Live Mint. There are some Telegram channels as well where you get the compiled PDF of different newspapers, the editorial portions. So you can just read that and develop a thought process. That thought process can actually improvise your writing ability while being in an exam setting. So that has very helped me a lot in descriptive. Frankly to tell you, I have not actually practiced more than 10 or 12 questions before mains, descriptive mains, and it's just the thought process, the speed of thoughts that I had that helped me ace the descriptive portion. So that's something I would recommend to the candidates. For objective portion, I would recommend a number of platforms available online, but the platform which offer very concrete and crisp and concise and a structured way of delivering information, that is very fruitful. I did visit a number of platforms, but for CrackGradeB I found that there are 3 different sections like management, economics. Similarly, the PIB section was very relevant. The weekly PDFs that were available on CrackGradeB that were very useful because they were like from the prelims perspective as well, but at the same time they had the static information that was very relevant from the mains perspective as well. So that even helped me during the prelims as well. So CrackGradeB became my natural choice for that. For finance and management, I would recommend that be very aligned with the topics that you have in the syllabus. What normally aspirants do, they study everything available on the portals. Let's say the HR portion would also be there, so they might be studying that as well. That is not bad, but I would say that first of all rote learn what is the complete syllabus and align with that, and accordingly go to the let's say I chose CrackGradeB, so I went, let's say I have Nash theory, so I just read the Nash theory PDF, and even if I found it had something that needs to be I need to build upon, I then Wikipedia it. So that way I did the finance management portion. And the best part about finance management is that the most portion is completely static, the questions that are asked. So I believe that is the most scoring portion in RBI examination. For ESI, what I did was that the static portion I covered from CrackGradeB, but the dynamic portion that was there, I did it from the affairs cloud that I was doing before mains, plus the PIB, the weekly PIB PDFs that I had with CrackGradeB. So that was all for the ESI that I did. ESI is more on the dynamic part, I believe. So it won't be very accurate to say that it's completely static or something that just we rote learn. But even the prelims preparation that we have from affairs cloud can do very handy, can be very handy during our mains.
Yeah. So actually in ESI mainly question we are doing analysis since last year, 2-3 years. That questions are mainly based on the schemes, current affair, like reports section. This
schemes and current affairs, obviously, to be very frank, I had a paucity of time. Like I prepared within the 20 days time frame that I had between prelims and mains. So there were a number of PDFs available on the platform of CrackGradeB, but ministry wise, but it was not possible for me. So again, I followed that very mantra that yeah, for the past 6 months from affairs cloud itself, there are number of current affairs which do have the static portion. Let's say for PM Kisan scheme, there is a news like 96,000 crores distributed. So 96,000 crore becomes the prelims type of question, but then the static component that is mentioned in the affairs cloud, that is very relevant for the mains perspective. So I took a leap of faith and just catered to that very PDF for the current portion, and that helped me in ESI as well. So schemes and reports, I didn't do it separately. Yeah, I would like to say that I did face a bit of difficulty in ESI objective in mains because of that. Obviously, if somebody has a lot more time, they should go through the schemes and reports section because that is very beneficial. But plus, one more skill is also needed, that is to have a very strong acumen of calculated guesses as well. Like many times it happens that we won't be knowing the 100% answer of every single question. But at the end of the paper, we'd be feeling like that if we answer only 10 questions or 5 questions, we won't even be getting selected. So I chose the approach wherein I went round by round. Like for the first round, I attempted all the questions of objective, ESI objective, which I knew with 100% accuracy. Then in the second round, I visited those questions where I knew 50% of the options, and I chose between them. So this way, I tried to maximize my attempts in ESI objective. So that also helped me to ace ESI in a decent manner.
So how many month current affair would you like to recommend the future aspirants for the ESI portion?
From realistic perspective, what an individual can do, I would recommend at least 6 months or 5 months at least, and the individual should study it in descending order. Like let's say if exam is in March, then obviously going backwards from March to the last year, that would be very fruitful. If somebody has time, then idealistic version would be 1 year, but I don't think so that many candidates would be able to do it. So
Yeah.
6 months or 5 months time frame is a good enough.
Okay, and now comes to the English descriptive part, that is also alone 100 marks. So how did you prepare for that?
So English descriptive, I believe the easiest portion is RC. RC is something that we obviously do in prelims, so that is not something we need to be like preparing separately. Only Pressy writing and essay is something that we need to focus on. So essay, I did attempt 10 or 15 essays before the mains examination. Plus, if you are good at descriptive writing, I think essays will be you will be able to do it in a decent manner. The strategy that I adopted for essay was that I used to, first of all, majority of times it happens that essay is somewhere related to the current context. So I used to initiate the essay by a quote or maybe some current headline. Like last year, I think the question was based on some startup which used to offer students computer science education right from the kid level. I won't be able to take the name of that institute, but yeah, the essay topic was based on that. So just by reading that topic, I got the information, this particular is of that particular institute from which this controversy emerged. So I gave that particular reference first, and thereafter I built upon and give the complete introduction, body and conclusion. Plus the essay should be most holistic in all the manner it can be, from social perspective, technological perspective, geographical perspective, etc. Obviously keeping the financial perspective at the top. Apart from that, two other things that need to be kept in mind while attempting Pressy and essays: to have a good grammar sense, plus punctuation and spelling mistakes are something that need to be avoided, because more than being a content driven English exam, this is more of a based on grammar and the accuracy you have while in writing spellings and everything. So that needs to be kept in mind. Pressy is something that is like, I think for the questions we have 5 or 6 paragraphs normally. What I used to do was that first of all I used to read the complete number, all the paragraphs that I had. Then eventually I went through the paragraphs and I used to understand what is the key theme of that particular paragraph. So I ensured that the line I wrote for that line or 2 lines I wrote for that paragraph that do include those key theme that exists in that paragraph. Accordingly, thematically I developed the lines, and let's say if it's a 20 line paragraph, 20 line content we have, for that I developed 7 or 8 lines, thematic lines, and that became my Pressy. So that way I went about Pressy.
And also question being asked by the aspirants that about the word limit. They should reach to the word limit. You were able to reach the word limit in the exam, or?
Normally I was maybe at most I was 50 words short of the actual word limit, but many candidates have cleared the examination even who were 200 words let's say behind the word limit. Nobody is able to actually perfectly gauge whether it's the quality of answers that we have or the word limit. But yeah, to be on the safe side, it's obviously the best to actually adhere to the word limit. Don't jump that word limit. Be on the lesser side. 20 or 50 words minus is, I think, decently fine.
Okay. Now comes to the interview part. What was your interview experience with the board of RBI, and how did you prepare for this?
Yeah. Basically, the interview experience for both the years are very, very drastically different. Actually, last year it was completely online. I was a lot more comfortable while giving it. In fact, the panelists were very cordial, but this time it was quite unsettling. And in fact, I didn't even expect myself to get selected. But it happened otherwise. So for interview, what I did was that first of all, what I did was that I didn't used to read newspapers right from start. So I used to read editorials, but not the complete newspaper. Let's say Live Mint is a small newspaper, so that is something we should be reading it right from the start. Normally what happens is after the results are declared in June, then suddenly there is a knee-jerk reaction that people start reading newspapers, financial dailies, and they are not able to understand what was the context 1 month back or so. So that problem I faced. So first of all, I began reading newspapers. Live Mint I followed, and also Financial Express. Apart from that, I also practiced a lot of mock interviews, but I didn't opt for a coaching institute, but rather I went with my friends who were into UPSC preparation. I had a number of questions that I prepared, 100 or 150 questions from the current affairs as well as the RBI website. I just gave them to my friends, and they used to ask the questions every weekend. There is also RBI functions and working PDF available on the RBI website. I read that as well. Apart from that, the function wise site and at least 1 year press release and the notifications, I adhere to that as well. Also, I think the RBI bulletin passed for 2-3 months, and the key reports like the report on banking and finance, report on currency, even the statutory reports all we have, I also read them, not in full, but at least the summary. The annual report, I read it, at least the key developments that happened, I read it, because that was also a good substitute for the like the notifications and press release. If you're not able to remember them, at least we can be able to remember that what happened in supervision section, or let's say what happened in digital banking sector. So the annual report, those key developments, I did read it. So that's all I went about with interview process. And what I felt like last year, what I did was that it was more like when asked about what I bring to a table, I used to what I learned was, I think that was a wrong learning that I had, that present as if you are very much interested in RBI because you're interested in banking industry, or because you're interested in monetary monetary sector or something like that. So I presented a very fancy picture in front of them. Like when they asked why RBI, I said that I have read some novel or something like that. So they were not quite impressed. Then again this year I asked my friend that what is the exact way to actually how to answer this question, why RBI. He said, see, these are the people who are taking interviews are 50 plus or 60 plus years of age, so they are no nonsense people. They know they know how do people why do people want to come into RBI. They already know it. They just want to know your real self. So be frank and true to yourself why you want to come to RBI. And this is a management job. This is not some typical banking or a corporate banking job, or some other job where you can use your analytics skills or something like that. Be straight and frank to them that earlier I didn't have a management level position, so I'm coming to RBI because it's a well balanced job, and I want to work at a managerial level, and this is a sort of job that offers both of things. So I was very frank and clear to them that this is the reason I want to come to RBI. Even I told them it's a well balanced job on all fronts. Like I didn't have good promotions in the past firm, so I told them in terms of promotions or in terms of learning curve, this organization is obviously my go-to choice. So I was very clear this time and didn't mince my words at all.
Okay. So at the end, for the future aspirants, any advice specifically those who are preparing this exam first time, and those who are have failed earlier in this exam? Many of the aspirants this year also 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark, and even some students got less marks in the interview. So any advice specifically for them?
I would like to say, for the people who are starting off for the first time, RBI is a very good organization. I think it's the best organization you can work for in your entire lifetime. I have heard my friends saying that nobody has ever exited RBI like being dissatisfied. So it's an organization which takes care of its employees. So prepare wholeheartedly for it, and be truthful and honest to yourself in your preparations. Normally what we do is that we are not honest with ourselves. Like today I have a schedule, I should stick to that. At least if not, read the newspaper. People, they just procrastinate. That is something wrong. Secondly, start off at the right time. That is very important. Like right now it's November, start off right now. If we expect to start at February or somewhere like close to that, obviously our chances get diminished. Second thing I would like to say is that sources in market are numerous. Stick to 1 or 2 sources at most. For current affairs, if we want to have, just pick up one source and trust that. That is very important. Like you cannot read everything available on YouTube or Telegram. You cannot even retain that. So it's the same mantra, utna hi khao jitna hazam ho paye. That is very important. For the people who are giving it third or fourth time, I think I am an example. So obviously the tables can be turned any time. So just practice and be your best.
Okay, so thank you very much, Shobhit, for this wonderful session, and it will definitely help many aspirants.
Thanks.
And we wish you good luck for your future journey. And thank you again.
Thank you, sir.